A film in 3 minutes, Lorenzo's Oil. You could be forgiven when watching a particular director's body of work that he or she excels at delivering a certain kind of spectacle for the big screen, and perhaps not much else. That their strongest suit can also limit them when telling different kinds of stories outside of their usual comfort zone. But what if I told you that in 1992, director George Miller, the creator of the Mad Max series, would release not only his most heart-wrenching film to date, but also one of the most touching dramas to be made in the last 30 years. That film is Lorenzo's Oil. The story follows the Odone family, an Italian-American couple whose son, Lorenzo, unfortunately develops adrenoleucoid dystrophy, or ALD for short. ALD is a genetic disease that destroys the brain's myelin, causing permanent disability and eventually death. Unaccepting of the medical profession's grim prognosis for their son, the Odones begin to research potential treatments to combat Lorenzo's ailing condition, eventually creating a specially prepared oil which the film takes its name from. Lorenzo's condition improves, but he is far from cured, leaving the Odones with little choice but to fight for the funding required for medical research into ALD so that their son can one day make a full recovery. For those of the faint of heart, Lorenzo's Oil is far from easy viewing. Given that the subject matter is based on real-life events, the struggle that both parents and their son endure on screen makes several of the scenes in the film all the more gut-wrenching. Nick Nolte and Susan Sarandon excel in their roles as the combative father and mother who refuse to give up on their child. And despite some harsh criticism of Nolte's Italian accent from the press, both actors perfectly convey the deep sadness and steely determination parents with sick children all around the world must deal with on a daily basis. George Miller, a former physician himself, directs the film with a subtle religious overtone, portraying Lorenzo as a sacrificial Christ figure whose suffering may one day lead to a cure for others with ALD. Although the film simplifies many of the aspects of the Odones' research into the disease, as well as the controversial claims that the oil itself works as a treatment, Miller makes sure that the real-world politics of medical research do not go unmentioned. The film's beautiful finale, where we hear Lorenzo's inner thoughts, is one of my favourite cinematic moments of all time, perfectly combining both the visual and musical to display a moving montage of real-life families who now use Lorenzo's oil for their children. The real Lorenzo died in 2008, outliving every doctor's prediction that he only had a few years left to live. His story and the work of his parents is inspiring enough on its own, but George Miller manages to elevate the real-life ordeal the Odones as a family faced into one of the most hauntingly touching dramas I have ever had the pleasure of viewing.
And then, one day, I'll hear my voice, and all these words I'm thinking